Hi everyone, thanks for watching the JB Arts YouTube channel. Today I have a special video for my friends at the Almonte ROCKS Facebook group. That's where people come together, they paint rocks with sentimental messages on them, beautiful pictures, anything for anybody to find around town. They take pictures of the ones that they find and then share them with other people, and they become this interesting scavenger hunt of fun rocks. So I really enjoy what they do. It's a great community event thing, and I want to show people how to prep their rocks so they can enjoy them for years to come. Alright, so let's get started. Well folks, when I started production I realized that there was a section that didn't film properly. So I'm back and I cut it in. It's sort of funny, we're noticing two different rocks. I went and got two more rocks so I could show you this part. It's the washing and cleaning of a rock. I like to use SOS pads, steel wool with soap in it essentially, and I just take the rock, put it in the water, and scrub it clean. Not the most exciting job in the world. However, you need to do these sort of things because paint doesn't stick to dirt. Acrylic paint is essentially a colored, high-powered glue. However, it only sticks to surfaces that are, well, stuck to something else. So if the dirt washes off, it'll take the paint with it. So really need to make sure that your rock is clean, dirt, and oil-free. Alright. There we go. So that will just need a quick dry. I'll wash my second rock. There we go folks. One clean rock. Woohoo! Alright. Just a nice pat dry. That's all you really need to make sure that they turn out well. If they're a bit damp, it's okay. The acrylic paint will stick to it. If you're using something oil-based like nail polish or something, you definitely want to make sure that the rocks are completely dry. Leave them out in the sun for a little bit. It doesn't take long. These rocks are non-porous, so they don't really hold on to the water like a sponge or like your clay pots do. So they just evaporate on its surface and they're good to go. But acrylic paint is water-based, so we can use them directly onto the rock. Okay, we need to make sure that our paint will stick to our rocks forever and ever and ever. And we've got some surface prep to do first. Since the rock is now clean, what we need to do is add a gesso. So a gesso is a paint primer, acrylic paint primer, and it's meant to go on virtually any surface to treat it. When you normally buy canvases and you see that they're bright white canvases, more than likely they've been treated with a gesso, so your paint will create a better adhesion to it. The same with our rocks. There's sort of two parts to gesso. One is a liquidy sort of surface that's sort of sticky, you can feel it. It has a bit of a tack to it, and that's meant to soak into sort of any surface and apply good adhesion. Then you'll notice there's a bit of a gritty sand feel. This is the calcium carbonate inside it that's meant to have like a sandpaper kind of finish that allows anything to stick to it, or it gives you its best adhesion to, let's say, the rock, and then paint that gets put on top of it. So a good gesso or primer is perfect to sort of prep your rocks so you don't see it flake and peel off over time. So we have some white gesso here. You can use, it actually comes in all sorts of different colors, and you can also tint these colors to whatever you want. So if you wanted to add a bit of white, or if you want to add a bit of red, you could turn it into a really nice pink. So here we go, application onto the rock. Now you don't have to paint the whole rock, just the area that you wish to put your message or mural onto. You want to make sure that it gets into sort of every crack. Gesso does dry quite quickly. And you don't have to wait for it to dry completely before you start painting on it. It is an acrylic product, they just put stuff into it to make it stick better. And so it accepts whatever paint you put on top of it. Go back and forth strokes. We don't want to see big blobs of paint. You want to try and brush out. Oh, you can still see some of the rock texture. Excited for the ice cream shop opening up this weekend. Oh yeah, it's gonna be great. Spring is here. There we go. All right, I'm gonna take a quick break while this dries. Now I take a look at my rock and I try and think of something that I want to put on it. I might look at it and go, ooh, it'd be really nice. I try and think of the surface it sits on. I like this one, the front face here. I want to put Almonte ROCKS on it. So I'm going to draw on it. I like to use watercolor pencil crayon. There we go. So it roughly says Almonte ROCKS around. If I wanted to, I could do sort of a base color and then paint on top of it. So why don't I do that? Because I don't really like where it says Almonte. I'm going to go to my red paint. Normally I do yellow first, but I didn't really think it through. I'm just kind of winging it. Which I imagine a lot of you will do, which is okay. Turn it around. You'll notice that the acrylic paint dries quite quickly. It's nearly dry on my red. There we go. Now other colors aren't going to stand up onto your red as well as you hope. Adding a little bit of white to your colors can help. So let's say I'm going to put purple Almonte ROCKS. Adding a little bit of white to that is going to help out a lot. Now if you have a little bit of gesso on your palette still, you can just use your gesso. Gesso works perfect as an acrylic paint. Sometimes it'll gray out your colors a little bit, but for these rocks and the colors that you're adding to it, probably not going to matter much. So here we go. Now flats are nice because you can get the thin side or you can get the fat side. There we go. Let that dry a moment and put on some other color. And this rock is done. For my next rock, I thought I'd do a really cool sort of sunset kind of picture. My red, now I'm trying to do this before the paint dries. Long, smooth brush strokes to get the colors to blend. There we go, that looks nice. Going to a bit more red this time. There we go. My rainbow rock. I'm gonna let that dry a few minutes and we'll get on to the next step. So my rocks are dry. I can put on extra details if I want, but for now I'm going to just sort of continue on. I'm gonna do a tree scene on this one all the way around. For this I'm going to use mostly my flat brush, again because it has that really thin edge. I load paint on my brush. I use my baby finger as a balance. I touch down gently and draw a couple of straight lines up. And here I want these to be sort of like pine trees. Now if my brush is out of paint, you'll see that it sort of splits apart. So I want to make sure that I keep my brush fairly wet. I'm gathering fresh paint. When I gather my paint, I sort of swipe so it stays back into the flat shape. I like that my trees sort of overlap a bit and go into the other trees. It looks more three-dimensional that way. I don't mind overlapping my trees a bit. I mind if they're a bit fuzzy. I don't mind if there's a bit of gaps. I'm usually not too worried. So here I'm starting to get a fuzzy line. I go back and reload my paintbrush. Alright, there we go. I'm going to let that dry for a few minutes, folks, and then we're going to talk about sealants. Also, I've got a little surprise for you, a little competition, a little fun game. So anyway, stay tuned. Okay, so let's talk about sealants. You can buy all sorts of different sealants. Some of them are more permanent than others, some of them are better for just giving a different finish, like a matte gloss, semi-gloss, satin. Some of them are good if you want to put them out in the garden and have them out there forever. Some of them have sunlight protectants called UVLS protectants. So let's just go through a couple of them, and hopefully that'll get you a really good start. So first is an acrylic polymer, something like that. So this is essentially acrylic paint with no color. You put it on, you can buy it in, gloss, matte, or satin. Other ones are like this one here. So this one's solvent based, but it's meant to go on acrylics. This is one of my favorites. It comes with a UVLS protectant. This is the kind of thing, if you were doing garden art, you want to stick it out there and leave it for a long time. That's a good one to go with. Also really good for painting outdoor varnished paintings. Unfortunately, usually the smellier these paints are, the better they are, the longer they last. But some of them are incompatible with certain paints, so you really got to trial and error some of this stuff. And making sure that your paint is 100% dry. Sometimes that even could mean, days, depending on what kind of paint you use, how thick you put it on, and stuff like that. All right, so there's also sprays. So this one here, bought at Home Hardware, total of $8. This one here is a matte. I really like this one for just an all-purpose sort of spray. It does have an odor. It is solvent-based. You would have to spray that on. So that one's a clear matte. You'd have to spray that one outside or wear a mask. Never spray or work with smelly things in your basement. Your air circulates through your basement. So if you start doing some really smelly things down there, then you end up circulating all of that air through the entire house. Best place to do it is actually sort of the top floor, opposite side of the prevailing wind, so that way the natural airflow of your house is sucking out the paint out that, or the fumes out that window. Unfortunately, that turns out to be the master bedroom, so maybe don't try that one. Just outside is a good idea. And a lot of them, the warmer the temperature, the better they work. All right, even leaving them out in the sun for a day or so before you go put them outside and have people handling them will make your finish a lot more permanent. All right, so I'm going to start by doing the polymer varnish. Now again, you'll need solvents and stuff to clean your brush. If you're using inexpensive brushes, then a lot of time you can just toss them out when you're done, or use solvents to sort of take them out, whatever you have. Sometimes even nail polish remover will work. Alright, so this does have a slight odor. I am brushing it on. Usually 2 coats is a good way to go. And when you're brushing over it, make sure you brush past your paint. That way it seals it all in. You don't want moisture getting into your paint. Here I'm just going to seal the entire rock. I'm going to put down a cloth. This stuff doesn't take too long to dry. It evaporates quite quickly. I highly recommend at least 2 coats. But it's your rock. Whatever you like. There we go. Now, I briefly teased about a contest. What we're going to do is I'm going to tape a gift card to the bottom of these rocks. Now you can keep the rock if you wish, or you can leave the rock for other people to find, but what you really want is the gift card underneath. The gift card will entitle you to 1 rock painting kit. We'll give you some free paint. We'll give you some gesso. You can use that to make all of your beautiful creations and put them around town as you see fit. Alright, so I'm gonna go and hide these. When I release the video, I will have hid them sort of that day. And just go around town and see if you can find them. I wish you a lot of luck. Alright, thanks. Please like, subscribe, share if you like any of this content, and have a great day.